Hi everyone, welcome. And as Jefferson said, we're so happy you're here today. I'm Liz Bothwell. I'm the Group Marketing Director for WasteExpo. And we know that driving booth traffic, especially qualified booth traffic, is really a #1 challenge, not just at WasteExpo, but all trade shows. So we want to make sure that your investment in WasteExpo gives you the biggest bang for your trade show buck. So that's why we're doing this webinar today. We know that's one of your biggest challenges, and one of ours is driving qualified traffic to the booth. So please join right in, ask questions, and you'll see that this webinar will help you do just that. So again, we care about the investment that you've made in WasteExpo. We know that it's significant. So what we've done this year is we've created this roadmap for success that you'll see on this slide. And we've put this on our website as well, and you'll see the link at the bottom of this slide. And basically, it's a roadmap to success for a trade show. So we have implementation tools that you can use, planning exercises. Everything has dates attached to them, so it's pretty straightforward, and it's a pretty turnkey way for you to get the most out of a trade show. And again, not just WasteExpo, but all trade shows. So if you go to this page, you'll find a treasure trove of really a toolkit for success. So it's definitely worth your time, and please share that link with your team when you can, because I know some of you are the logistics managers and the marketing managers, and you'll have a team on site. So if you could share that, that would be great, and we'll move forward. And Jefferson did the nice introduction. He is our resident trade show expert. So with no further ado, I'm going to pass it on to him. He's had a ton of experience helping thousands of people improve their trade show experience, and I'm hoping you get a lot out of it. Thanks, Jefferson.
All right. Thank you, Liz. And again, thanks to everyone for being here today. My background's pretty simple. Trade shows. Got tossed into my first show in 1985. In 1988, I really became a student of exhibiting. We were doing at that point about 25 to 30 shows a year. And as I would make time to walk around the show floor at all the shows I was doing, I would notice that I could always find two companies that marketed pretty much the same product or service, or the same type of product or service. And time after time, one of the booths was busy. It was just overrun with attendees. The other one, they were standing around watching the moving parade of life go by in the aisles. And it really prompted a question that I started researching in 1988, a long time ago. What's the difference, right? How did two companies go into this opportunity that we call a trade show, have similar products, similar services, the same potential opportunity, and one company wins and another company loses? And today's topic, I think, is one of the big reasons. The title of the webinar, the subtitle is How to Identify and Attract Enough of the Right People to Your Booth. For many exhibitors, this is the single biggest limiting factor. It's the difference between the expensive appearance or the productive and profitable investment. And I've had the privilege of working over the years with hundreds of companies, including several companies in the waste industry, helping them turn their trade show around. And I'll be honest, this factor has been one of the biggest difference makers in the results our clients get. And of the companies where I've done tracking now, we've combined, we've been able to trace over $800 million in results from shows. So I want to take you inside and how to really attack this issue. Okay, so when it comes to getting value and getting return on investment, I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule, as we call it. And what it says typically is that 80% of the results that you get from an activity will come from 20% of the actions or the steps. And that's what I guess I've really been on the hunt for, is what are the 80-20, those 20% of factors that make the difference, okay? And I think we've found them. The first one is defining your outcomes. If you've read Stephen Covey's incredible book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Dr. Covey outlined habit number 1 is be proactive, not reactive. Proactive is what we're talking about today here, right? You know, not just renting space and showing up and hoping that people come into the exhibit hall, pass your booth, and stop. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. And that's really what this first critical success factor is. It's defining your outcomes. You see, every exhibitor has reasons, right? Reasons why you're exhibiting. If I were to ask any one of you, why are you exhibiting? I know you're going to give me reasons. But write this key phrase down right now. Reasons are not enough. They're a good start. They're not enough. They don't provide the clarity. They don't provide the focus. And they definitely don't really deliver the outcome. Defining your outcomes means, what does success look like for your company when the doors close? 90, 180 days, a year after the show. If you can reach out in those time frames, at closing time, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and define what success looks like for your company in the areas of marketing, in the areas of sales, and customer relationship management. And if you can convert those into clearly defined outcomes, then develop workable action plans, execute, measure. You will pull your company into the top 10% of exhibitors in every show you do. And on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, as Liz mentioned, there are downloadable tools. There's a 16-week planning tool. Download it. It will take you through the process. Okay? Download all these tools. There's also the 5 exercises she mentioned you'll see over here on the right in step 2. Download those tools. Don't try to do them all at once. You know, the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? The answer, 1 bite at a time, right? So don't try to do them all at once. Block a 90-minute blocks. Gather your team. Do them one at a time. And you can see that we've put the target time frames on each one of these exercises. Okay? So number 1, begin with the end in mind. Define your outcomes. Number 2, which is the focal point of our webinar today, selective attraction. Here's the big idea, right? WasteExpo is going to have tens of thousands of visitors. And that's an incredible opportunity for you. But here's the challenge. Number 1, not all those people are your ideal visitor. And number 2, you can't handle all those people, right? So we got to get clear on who are the right people for you, how much is enough, why should they come see you, what's your value proposition, and how are you going to communicate between now and when you arrive at WasteExpo to be in their mind and on their agenda. Write that phrase down too. If you want to win the game before kickoff, be in the mind and on the agenda of enough of the right people. And we're going to walk you through today a 8-step process that I have been developed and refining and applying with clients of all sizes and all types that have helped generate over $800 million in measured results from trade shows. Number 3, manage the visitor experience. This comes down to your booth, your product presentation or demonstration, and your staff. You got to synchronize those 3 elements to deliver a high quality, highly interactive visitor experience that gets that visitor to commit to some next action. Number 4, if you're not signing contracts on the show floor, closing deals on the show floor, and you ever hope to get a return on your investment, you have to acknowledge that the real product, the thing you're going to walk off the WasteExpo show floor with, is leads. So that being said, we've got to take a hard and a deep look at lead management by defining what criteria you need to elicit and capture to actually qualify an opportunity, developing a questioning process, integrating it into your capture device, training your staff on following the process, and of course, following up on your leads. Okay, this is a big problem and a big opportunity for almost every exhibiting company. Number 5, measurement and learning. There's an old saying, what gets measured gets done. I'm going to add a few to that. What gets measured gets improved. What gets measured can get you positive recognition within your company. So each of us as exhibitors need to define how are we going to know if we won the game, right? If exhibiting is a game, right, and we want to win it, there's rules of the game, but there's got to be, someone's got to keep score, right? So we need a simple set of performance metrics. How well did you execute your exhibit? Value metrics. Where and how did you get value from your investment? And return on investment. Did you ultimately generate a return on your investment? And finally, learning from the experience. You should walk out of WasteExpo with a minimum of 3 hard and fast lessons that you can use to make your next exhibit even better. And by the way, there is an incredible measurement tool on the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, and you can access it. Let me go back here. It's right here, tool number 3, the Exhibit and Financial Performance Metrics tool. Download it. Use it. Most of my exhibiting clients, in fact, all of them, have found it to be priceless in terms of their ability to measure and improve their results. Okay? So those are the 5 factors we're going to take a deep dive on today, but here's what I want you to think about. If you had to score your company's current level of execution in these 5 critical factors, if you had to score these on a 1 to 5, a 5 would be very effective. A 1 would be ineffective. How would you score? You may want to take a moment and do that right now. How well does our company manage these 5 areas? Because as Dr. Phil said, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge, right? And this is a quick diagnostic tool to make sure that you are covering the bases, if you will. And the 5 planning exercises, the 3 downloadable tools, the articles, the webinars, all of that stuff, right, is there for you. It's free. It's part of your exhibit package, and it works. You just got to do it, okay? So selective attraction. Let's get after this, okay? So, marketing, trade shows are a sales, a marketing, and a customer relationship management investment. That's how I view it. Sales, marketing, customer relationship management. Let's zero into marketing, right? So what are the keys to great marketing, to succeeding at the game of marketing? Jim Rohn, one of my absolute favorites. If you have never read or listened to Jim Rohn, Google him, YouTube him, download him. He said it so eloquently. He says a million things eloquently, but this one he just so nailed. He said the key to marketing success is, number 1, have something good to say. There's so much clutter, so much noise. I saw a report last week that said the average person receives over 3,000 marketing messages a week. 3,000. So if you're going to cut through the noise, stand out in that crowd, you got to have something good to say, right? And then you have to say it well. You have to articulate it in a way that grabs the attention of your audience, that says, hey, I'm talking to you, right? And this is important to you, right? And then you have to say it often. Once is never enough. Never enough today. And I'm going to add to Jim's most outstanding quote here by saying, you got to say it through multiple media. So take a look at the screen right now. You'll see a graphic talking about integrated marketing. And you'll notice all these different options that you have. So the question that I want to ask all of you who are so generous to invest your time with us today, I'm going to launch a poll. How many media do you typically use to promote your participation in a trade show? Fastest fingers, look at your screen, click the radio dial button that applies. I will give you about 10 seconds to complete this quick poll. All right, we're close to 80%. Those of you who haven't polled yet, if you would take a moment, click the radio dial button that applies. I'm going to share the results in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Well, there's good news from this poll. None of you said you don't do anything, so that's good, right? You'd be amazed at how many groups I speak to and do webinars with where 20, 30% say we don't do anything, right? 10% of you were in the 7+ range. Critical mass, 60% of you were in the 3 to 4 range. So I think that really raises a question, right? How many marketing media should we use? Well, here's my thought on that. As many as your budget, your bandwidth, time, and your skill, you can skillfully use the media. As many as your budget, bandwidth, and skill allows. The more, the merrier. You know, you want to be like everywhere and nowhere at once, as somebody once said. Everywhere and nowhere at once. They see you everywhere. So we're going to really show you today and walk you through how to quickly put together a world-class integrated pre and at show marketing campaign. And by the way, thanks for sharing on that poll. We ended up at 83% response. So I really appreciate your engagement in our topic today. All right, so I'm a big believer that the why precedes the how. If you have a big enough why, you'll find the how. Okay, so why is pre-show marketing so critical? Well, it's because trade show attendee behaviors have changed. Okay, let me share some of these key insights. Number one, they tend to be registering closer to the show. Number two, they're spending a fewer number of total days at a show. The average attendee has chopped 1.5 days off their time at a show. It used to be 2.6 to 3.8 days on a show floor. Now it's down to 1.5 to 2.4. Now listen carefully. That does not mean that they don't value their time at shows. In fact, based on who's attending, job titles and functions, and the feedback we're getting on our attendee surveys, they value shows more than ever. But like you, me, and everyone else, they're being asked to do more with less and time pressure. In response to that pressure, they are desperately looking for content, and not just from the educational sessions, but the exhibit hall. They're looking for content and take away useful information they can take back to the operation to, increase profits, reduce costs, improve safety, reduce downtime, whatever, right? In response to these changes, they are pre-planning their visit. 76% of attendees arrive with a clear agenda. They know what sessions are going to attend. They know where their blocks of time in the exhibit hall are. They have a hit list of exhibitors they're going to see. They organize their list by must see, should see, nice to see. They attack the must see first. They've got a very clear agenda. Listen carefully to this one. Liz, how many exhibitor companies in total are we expecting at WasteExpo this year?
More than 600, Jefferson.
Thank you. Now, I want everybody to process what Liz just said because it is vitally important to your success. There will be over 600 exhibiting companies. If you're part of the waste industry, you are absolutely in the right show. But here's the challenge. The average attendee will stop and cross the carpet line of 26 to 31 booths on average. Half of those stops are pre-planned. Now, I want you to think about these behavioral changes. And I want you to ask yourself, so what? Big deal. What does this mean to me? Well, here's one thing. Less than 20% of exhibitors are going to do what we talk about here today. Less than 20%. 8 out of 10 are going to do what I call exhibit by hope. They're going to rent space, they're going to show up, and they're going to hope. I learned years ago that if you want to succeed, find out what companies that are struggling and failing are doing, and don't do that, right? There's an old saying, if you want to soar with the eagles, don't scratch with the turkeys, right? 8 out of 10 exhibitors are going to do little or nothing. If you want to win this game, it's not that hard. This area we're talking about is the equivalent of winning the game before kickoff. So I hope you understand why this topic is so critical. So now that leads us to the rest of our webinar. How are we going to do this? How do we simplify this? How do we turn this into a structured process that you can replicate, right? Scale, and so you don't have to recreate the wheel every time. Well, I've really distilled it down to 8 steps. So I'm going to walk you through in the rest of this webinar the 8 steps. Now, here's the idea. You won't be done with these 8 steps today, but what you will have is a start and a map. And that map is going to be what fills your booth with interested, qualified visitors at WasteExpo. I want that for you, and I know you want that for yourself. So let's get at it. Number 1, I want you right now to identify your top 3 reasons for exhibiting. On the screen and in your workbook, you will see the top reasons why companies exhibit. These are not the only reasons. In fact, I saw a list recently of 100 possible objectives. Well, let's work in the 80-20 rule. Let's work in the top 20%, and you're looking at it. So here's the major question. What are your top 3 reasons? Circle them, check them, write them down. I also encourage you to rank them in order of priority. If we could only accomplish one thing, it would be this. If we could accomplish another, maybe one more thing, it would be this. And then go back to the Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, download the exercise on defining your outcomes, download the tools, and convert your reasons to goals backed up with written action plans. Don't just think it, ink it, right? Don't just think it, ink it. That's what a mentor told me years ago, right? A plan in your head is not really a plan. It gets jumbled up really quick. A plan in writing is like a blueprint for building a house. So build your blueprints, okay? Number 2, who are the right people for you. That's what we want to work on. And so we use a concept called ideal visitor profile. And you can see that WasteExpo sorts their attendees, and you have access to some incredible data through your account executive, but they sort them by industry, by job function and title, and you'll see on the screen the primary job functions and the percentage of attendees that represent these functions. You can sort them by geography. You can sort it by the size of the operation, either in the number of locations, the number of facilities, the annual revenue, the number of employees, however you would sort size, and whatever else you might use to define your ideal visitor. Gather your team, take a look at the exhibitor prospectus, take a look at the show website, and create your profile. This profile is a broad brush description. Some people would call it a persona, but I'm not sure that persona, for me at least, what I'm talking about here fits. So that's your next step. I want you to define in a broad brush stroke who is your ideal visitor, what types of companies, what job function and titles, what geographical locations, if size, and anything else you can use to define them. Next, as we think about ideal visitors, we want to activate our sales, dealer, or distributors to also help fill our booth with high-value visitors. So I worked on a formula over the years. I've been with clients now for over 15 years that we call the CPS Triangle. Base of the triangle is customers. Never go into a key show like WasteExpo without reaching out and touching your customers, whether you think they're coming or not. Why? Well, the competition's probably knocking on their door. Today's buyers are using trade shows to revalidate existing buying relationships. Sometimes I have exhibitors tell me, they'll go, Jefferson, I don't want to invite my customers to the show. And I go, why not? They'll go, well, because our competitors are there. And I'm like, well, what happens if your customer ends up at WasteExpo from an invitation from a competitor and you did nothing? You have left the doors wide open for a takeover. Circle the wagons around your customers. On the screen, you'll see there are 4 different objectives that you could set for customer interactions at the show. Now, if you want to know where the quick cash flow, the fast return on investment on your exhibit program is, it's right here on the right side of the triangle. Prospects who are already in your sales funnel. Get your sales team to prepare a list of all active prospects. You have one goal for getting them to the show and to your booth. Move them one step closer. Advance them. And that third side of the triangle is what we just talked about. It's your suspect or your profile match. You really just have one objective there. Put a face with a face, open the door. So how do you activate this strategy? Well, number one is ask your sales, dealer, distributors to prepare and submit a list of customers, prospects, and suspects. Ask them to set a specific outcome for each name on the list. Ask them to have personal outreach and touch those names 3 times. Seems to work best when you use multiple media. What you're trying to get is either a confirmed appointment or a verbal commitment. And if you really want to jumpstart this type of a program, put a contest in play. The person, dealer, or distributor that gets the highest percentage of their CPS list to the show and to the booth wins something. If you do this, you'll have a booth full of high-value visitors. You'll have a focused, motivated, excited booth staff. And you will have gone a long way toward winning the game before kickoff. Okay, second poll of the day. I want to ask you a question. Do you acquire and use pre-registered attendee mailing lists when the show makes them available? The poll is live right now. Fastest fingers, click the radio dial button that applies. I'll give you just a few moments to say yes, no, or maybe sometimes you do, not always. Okay, we're at about 65% of you have polled. If you haven't polled yet, fastest fingers. I'll give you just another moment. I'm going to share the results. On 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 50% of you do. 40% of you don't. 10% of you sometimes. Well, so that's going to lead us to building target visitor lists. The best trade show list sources, top of the list, the pre-registered attendee list. Next, the previous, last year's attendee list or the post-show attendee list. Third is your company database. 4, anybody who's visited your booth at this show or other shows. And they can get into the, they're part of the waste market. Recent inquiries. Anybody who's inquired, hit your website, opted in, downloaded a white paper or a report. Your distribution channel, trade publication readerships. So WasteExpo does make available both pre and post-show attendee mailing lists. These lists can be drilled down to match your profile, and you could put together a mailer, which we'll talk about in a moment. And hold that thought. I know some of you are thinking, mailer? Seriously? Hold that thought. I'll come back to that. They also do offer, uniquely, they offer the ability to do target email blasts to segments of the pre-registered list, which, by the way, is the single best list, top of the list, right? Okay, so grab your pen, grab a calculator. We're going to run one of the most important numbers you will ever understand about exhibiting. We call it exhibit interaction capacity. Remember I said earlier that, trade shows, WasteExpo is going to have tens of thousands of visitors. You don't have the capacity to handle all of them. Well, now you're going to figure out how much capacity you do have. Okay, so there are 17 non-competing exhibiting hours. There's nothing else going on. That is a boatload of non-competing hours. Most shows are lucky to have 3 or 4 non-competing WasteExpo, so we're only going to use the non-competing hours. Okay, how many people are going to be in your booth for the purpose of talking to visitors? In my example, 2. That would be a 10 by 10 booth. Notice the footnote, 50 square feet per staffer. That would give me 34 staff hours. Now listen carefully to this next number. I want you to pick a target number of interactions per hour per staffer. 3 conservative, 4 moderate, 5 maybe aggressive. Pick one of those numbers, multiply it, and you have your exhibit interaction capacity. So what I'd like you to do right now, everybody go to your question queue right now, and I would like you to type just the number, type in your exhibit interaction capacity for WasteExpo, and press send. Go ahead and do that now. I just want to make sure that you're following, that you understand the formula, and that you're following along, because this, for you to win the game, what this formula is telling you, if you are in the mind and on the agenda of 102 of the right people, you've won the game before kickoff. So go ahead and go to your question queue and type that in. But also, remember in step 2, we talked about building your lists. Make sure your list count is 3 to 5 times larger than your interaction capacity. So, and I would be looking for 306 to 510 names at least on that list, because I'm not going to get 100% response on any campaign. Okay, I'm going to take a look in the queue in a moment, but here's the big idea, right? So we're expecting at least 14,000 waste industry professionals. For you to win the game, all you got to do in this example is attract and interact with 102 to 170 of the right people. Doesn't this make your life a lot easier? You don't have to worry about 14,000. People go, wow, there's 14,000. I don't care about 14,000. It's more than I could ever dream about handling. What I care about is who are the right people, how much is enough for me, what am I going to do? between now and when we arrive at WasteExpo to be in their mind and on their agenda. All right, one more poll. This will be our final poll, but this is a behavioral poll. I would like to ask you quickly, what percentage of your exhibit budget do you typically allocate to promoting your participation? You can see there's 4 different options on the screen. 0, 1 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 14, or 15% plus. Fastest fingers, I'll give you just a moment. About 46% of you have polled. If you've drifted towards your email or a distraction, come back with me. We've only got about 15 minutes to go, and we're going to get deep in the woods now. And I'll give you just a moment to complete this poll. We're at about 70% right now. If you haven't polled, last chance on 3, 2, 1. Share. Well, 22% of you said we are really not allocating much of anything. None of you said 15% plus. So what does this all mean? Why am I asking you this? Well, remember our rule, find out what the average is doing for the unsuccessful and do better than that? Well, take a look at the screen right now. Here's the latest research on where the exhibiting dollar goes. The average exhibitor allocates 14% of their total show budget to advertising and promoting. Okay, so what does that mean to you? Well, I would recommend in step 4 that you budget enough, and enough would be at least 15%. The budgeting rule of thumb is to take your floor space cost and multiply it by 3 to 5 times. Because this is a big show, and because it's in Las Vegas, which is a tier 1 convention city, I would encourage you to budget times 5. Then earmark at least 15% of that budget toward promoting. So in this example, I'm a small 10 by 10 exhibitor. You can see my budget range. I'm going to do floor space times 5. So I'm going to have at least $2,569 to allocate to promoting. And there's times when I'm going to increase that percentage. A big show. This is a big show. A little booth. You're not too crazy about where you're located. The audience who attends is a perfect match for you. The timing and the importance of this show is right on message for you. Allocate more. I've seen clients go as high as 25% of their budget to promoting. Because here's the big idea, right? Back to the chart. If you do get enough of the right people to your booth, all these other areas will end up as an investment. If you don't get enough of the right people to your booth, all these other areas will end up as an expense. Right? So what do you want? Do you want to make an expensive appearance, or do you want to make a profitable investment? Make sure you're investing enough. And I hear some of you, you're thinking, Jefferson, but it's not me, it's my boss. Well, I tell you what, show your boss those 5 behavioral changes. Show your boss the pie chart where the dollar goes. Show your boss the formula. You should be able to get support. Because again, this is one of the key leverage points that you could do. Okay, let's keep rolling here. We're moving into step number 5. It's 8 steps, so we're getting close. Remember, it's one thing to market. It's another thing to market well. As Jim Rohn said, you got to have something good to say. If you send out an email that says, visit booth 2484 at WasteExpo, delete. People are reading their email with their finger on the delete button. Now, there's relevance in that subject line because it says WasteExpo, but what's missing? Visit booth 2484. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. I don't know why I should come see you. So we got to craft something good to say, a compelling message. Here are your 3 noise busters, okay, for trade shows on how to cut through the noise. New is an absolute magnet. If you have something new, get it into your messaging. Problematic is a magnet. Learning is a magnet. Any one or combination of these words or these strategies, right, will help you cut through the noise. Job number 2, you got to create interest. Here's the question I want you, your product managers, your marketing managers, your sales managers to sit down and discuss. What situations would prompt waste industry professionals to think about what you offer? What problems are they struggling with? What opportunities does it create? Right? Problems and opportunities. It's really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you sell. At the end of the day, you sell a result. You know, there's an old saying, people don't buy 3/4-inch drill bits. They buy 3/4-inch holes. So maybe another way to say it is, what are your holes? If you can get a handle on what your situations are that would prompt someone to think about what you do, all you got to do is integrate situations into your marketing to cut through the noise and grab attention. Here's what the value proposition looks like in a template format. I'm challenging each of you to pull your team together and find your voice and follow this template. Step number 5. Tired of this? Worried about this? Struggling with this? Here you go. Here's an example. Tired of your compactors going down during your busiest season. That's a hook. That's a situation, right? Or flip it the other way. And are you interested in more uptime? Are you curious about how to extend the life of the hydraulics in your compactors? Whatever, right? Would you like to learn more about a problem or an opportunity? And if you do your work that I gave you, you'll be able to fill in the blanks here. Give us 5 minutes. See, do, learn. And oh, by the way, we got something cool for you at the booth. There it is. If you'll invest the time to define your target, your audience, find your value proposition, deliver it through as many channels as you can, you'll have a booth full of interested, qualified visitors. Okay, so back to the marketing strategy, right? So how many media can you use? As many as you can find the time and bandwidth, and you have the skill set. Okay, now, when you think about all those media, they really fall into baskets or buckets, if you will. Print and display advertising. So this would be show-specific media, and this would be industry-specific media. Public relations, PR. Digital or electronic media, email, internet, website, social media, the mobile app. O, direct mail, which no one is hardly doing. It's a really good time to get back in the mailbox, especially when it comes to trade shows. You see, email's intrusive. Direct mail's not intrusive, right? Letters, high quality like invitations, oversized postcards, all powerful tools, and hardly any exhibitors are using them. That's exactly why you want to look at using them. And you might say, hey, Jefferson, this stuff's too expensive. No, you can get postcards out the door today for about $1 a card, 4-color, 2-sided, mail house, print, and postage out the door for about $1 a card. With digital printing, you can do short runs. You could send out 85 postcards for about $100. And personal contact from your team. You know, getting expo passes and delivering them, making phone calls, and maybe even using voice broadcast, a way to make a one-to-many call. Ideally, if you're doing a world-class campaign, you'll have something going in all 5 of these areas. So I would like to bring Liz back on for a moment. We're not here to sell you anything today, but we do think it's important you understand about the free marketing opportunities and some of the other stuff. So Liz is just going to take a minute or two, give you a quick overview. Liz, tell us about this free stuff that exhibitors can use.
Definitely. Thanks, Jefferson. Hi again, guys. Yes, I feel like we have a ton of marketing opportunities that are free, and not every exhibitor takes advantage of them. So I'll quickly roll through these, and you guys can ask in the Q&A if you have any other questions or if you need access to them, or even after. We'll be happy to share my email address as well. The first one, our show guide listing. We do the printed directory, and that goes into every tote bag or is handed to every single attendee, and they use it. I mean, they use it as their map on site. So you get a complimentary listing as an exhibitor. You can go through the portal and sign in and fill it out, because people immediately go to the back looking for the exhibitors they want to see, and your description and your booth number will help them find you. So please take advantage of that. Number two, our exhibit hall passes. We also call these VIP tickets. So this gives you the ability to invite your customers and prospects to come to the show for free, and not only just come to the exhibit hall, but it gives them a really nice discount on the conference program. And over the last 5 years, a lot more of you guys have been sharing these, and also the people you've invited take advantage of the conference program. So I think they're really appreciating that discount, and then the free offer to come to the show floor. Also, access to the media and press. About 3 weeks prior to the show, I will share with you our press list, and feel free to set up whatever you would like to with them. We also have a template of a press release if you want to get anything out. So we're happy to help you there as well. What else? Logos and graphics. Yes, please share those. We also offer on the exhibitor resources page of the website, we offer a digital badge that you can put into your signature for WasteExpo. You can drive people to your booth by mentioning your booth number. We have the logo itself that you can put on everything. So please take advantage of that, and also your logo as well. Share that, and if you're Exhibitor Plus participant, that goes in the directory as well, and it's an enhanced listing. What else? The networking. One of the most special things about WasteExpo is our networking opportunities, and the things mentioned here, the welcome reception and the educational sessions. You are able to attend the educational sessions as an exhibitor. That's a huge benefit, and I'm not sure everyone knows that. And the welcome reception, that brings in nearly 3,000 people, and it really welcomes people and kicks off the show in the right way. People are relaxing, they're having a cocktail or a bite to eat, and it's a really great opportunity to connect with them because they're relaxed, they haven't quite hit the show floor yet, so it's a great place to connect with them there. And 6, social media. It's funny, since I've been here 7 years, and just the number of you who are now on social, it has more than quadrupled. So it has been amazing to watch you all grow along with WasteExpo in terms of social media engagement. On this slide, we've listed Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, but WasteExpo is also on Instagram and YouTube. So if you're not already, please follow or subscribe. And then really the most important thing is when you're posting about WasteExpo and your presence there, be sure to tag us or use the hashtag WasteExpo, because it alerts us that you're doing that, and we love to retweet or mention you guys or thank you for coming or encourage attendees to go see you at your booth. So that is an amazing free opportunity, and the engagement on site for social media skyrockets at the show. So leading up to the show and even at the show, please, please, please tag us, and you'll see us helping you spread the word about whatever you're doing in your booth or anywhere else. And the final thing is we're doing an innovation challenge just for our exhibitors. This year's theme for WasteExpo in our campaign is really the future is now. And WasteExpo has helped usher in a ton of innovation and products. And we need you guys to tell your stories. So we would love to hear from you if you've launched a new product or service or technology at WasteExpo. And we're going to turn that into an article on Waste 360, and I think you know we get a ton of visitors there, and 90,000 people. So we would love to get your story, tout it there. We're going to create an article. Plus, on site, we're doing signage to show what these great innovations have been over the years, because we want to tell your story. So please do that, share that, and we'll make sure that that link is available as well if you haven't heard about this already. And then it's also going to be in some signage. So again, a great opportunity to showcase your company, the innovations that you've launched, and really just all of this stuff is free publicity for you guys. So please take advantage. And then here we have some of our paid sponsorship opportunities and advertising ops. I'll quickly roll through there because I know we're getting close to our time here and we want to be cognizant of that. Oh wow, we have so many sponsorship opportunities, as you've probably seen, but the beauty of it is that we can do anything to fit your budget or your goal. So please reach out to us if you want to enhance your presence at the show, because we're happy to do that. Two things that are noted here in bold: the Exhibit Plus upgrade. That is the contest that we're having that you can, you probably have a very good chance of winning. And that's a really cost-effective and easy way to upgrade your presence at the show, because it's done online, in print, and on site. So we'll see who wins that one, and that's a great opportunity. And then we have other things, and highlighted here is the tote bag insert. Again, if you do something creative in the tote bag, it will drive people to your booth. I was talking to Jefferson about this yesterday. Less about just a PDF printed out, maybe a way to engage people, a content marketing idea, a contest, something like that, so that when they get to their booth, they get something. So keep those things in mind. But again, there's a ton of sponsorship opportunities, from digital events all the way down to the conference program, and again, attendee tote bags and lanyards. So there's something for everybody. So think about how you want to use your marketing dollars, and we're happy to help you craft a campaign that works for you guys.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Liz. So here's the best advice I could give every exhibitor listening to this webcast. Number one, view Liz, Mark, and the team as your marketing partner. Define your goals, define your audience, set your budget, reach out and call them, email them. They don't bite. They're actually really nice people. They see themselves as helping you get to where you want to go. Regardless of your budget, regardless of your goals, they probably have a program that can help you build your brand, expand your visibility, and drive booth traffic. So don't be shy about reaching out to them. A couple of things that Liz mentioned: pound for pound, dollar for dollar. The show guide is one of the best print buys. People use it to navigate the show. They use it afterwards. In terms of tote bags, as she mentioned, I've had tremendous success with those. We were doing a tour called the Do More Tour at a show we exhibited at with a client, and we had 2,360 people go through our tour. One of the key places we promoted it was a tote bag insert. The show was in Vegas, so we did a mock casino chip and attached it and said, hey, bring this chip to the booth, take our tour. You'll get to put your hand in the bag and draw a free real casino chip, anywhere from $500 to $500, and 2,300 people went through our tour. All right, good time to catch your breath, submit any questions. I'm going to crank through our final 2 steps, take a look at the question queue, and then we will be ready to send you on your way and get ready. So step 7, execute. You got to put it all together. I thought the best way I could illustrate this was to show you 2 sizes of exhibits. This one is a 10 by 10. You know, they're investing $3,400 in the space. Their total show budget will be $10,000 to $17,000. They're going to earmark 15% of that at least to promotion. They got 2 major goals: market visibility and drive traffic to generate leads. So you can see they would run the CPS strategy we talked about. They would get the pre-reg mail list, mail an oversized postcard. They would drill that list down to their profile matches. They would write a really compelling exhibitor description, which is going to show up in the directory, on the mobile app, on the floor plan. They would definitely use the free exhibit hall passes. They would leverage all social media. They would use the show logo, and it's a no-brainer to invest in the Exhibit Plus upgrade for only $9.95. And that's what a small exhibitor might do. A larger exhibitor, you're in a 20 by 20, you're going to do similar things, but you have two additional goals. You have a new product launch, you want thought leadership. So instead of mailing a postcard, you're probably going to do a higher level concept mailer or an invitation. You would do the tote bag insert, sponsor the mobile app, put a print ad in the show directory, get on the virtual product showcase to promote your new product. You might sponsor aisle signs to have your brand visible all over the hall, and you might sponsor a conference topic to tie into thought leadership. So what does this look like in action? I thought if I showed you a campaign, you could at least kind of see how it would be delivered through multiple channels. Well, here's print. This would be in the show directory. It would be in trade publications. Here's a oversized postcard using a personalized URL and inserting the person's name on the headline. Here's an example of a two-part HTML email, either to your house list or working through the email blast program from WasteExpo using a masthead. And here's a landing page or a microsite, driving people to answer some pre-show questions and confirm a visit to the booth. Notice there's digital, there's email, there's mail, and there's print. So the final piece is measurement, right? So you're just tracking what media did you use, when, how many, what was the cost, tracking the number of impressions and traceable responses, and then looking at the overall campaign and asking what worked, what did we learn, and how can we use the best of this going forward. So we've covered a lot of ground, and yet I feel like we've just scratched the surface. I wish we had more time, and hopefully all of you have gotten some really good inspiration as to why pre-marketing is critical, and you understand there is a step-by-step proven process you can follow. I'm going to take a look at the question queue. If you're logging off right now, please be sure to watch for the survey in a few minutes. Again, your chances of winning the marketing package are really high, $995 value. I'm going to take a look in the queue, and let me see what we got for questions. Okay. Will a copy of the deck be sent for reference? The webinar is being recorded, will be uploaded to the page on the screen right now. You can access it 365, 24/7. You have the high points of it in the workbook we sent you. Next question, could you give me an example of a good subject line for an email beyond just those 3 words? Yeah, here we go. WasteExpo, : tired of compactor downtime, ? That's the problem. Flip it the other way. WasteExpo, : wish your compactors were online more? Same, see, they're hitting both sides of the valve. Short and sweet. Questions work extremely well. Or another good subject line. See the latest innovation in compacting technology. Right? So real clear. Let's see. Someone's asking, do we have lead management technology? Right now, we don't have a uniform way. Liz, could you speak just for a moment about the lead capture technology that's available for Waste?
Sure. We use CSI on site, and they're our registration vendor, and you can register to get the scanning devices, and then they will share the data with you after. And I believe they offer packages as well post-show for you to be able to manage the leads. So take a look at their packages and see what they have to offer.
Yeah, on lead capture technology, there is content on the webinar about lead management, and there's articles on that. Typically, at a minimum, you'll want to rent the show's system. Ideally, you will customize the system with qualifiers. Many times you'll be able to upload PDFs and do instantaneous follow-up. And if you do a lot of shows and you're willing to invest some resources, you might look into a universal lead capture system. One of the coolest ones I've seen is one that's called LEAD, L-E-A-D, Ature. So it's kind of like literature, but it's Leadature. If you go on Google and type in Leadature, it'll pop up. We have run a few minutes over. I want to thank everyone for logging in. Please be sure to complete the quick survey coming your way, and please let today be a beginning, not an end. There's over $10,000 of content on the Exhibitor Success Program page. Download it, use it, do it all. If you will, I can close today's WasteExpo marketing webinar not by wishing you a better show. I guarantee you'll have one. So on behalf of Liz, Mark, and the entire WasteExpo team, and Jefferson and my team here at Competitive Edge, thanks for being an exhibitor. Thanks for logging in. We will see you on the Success Center and at the show very soon. Have a great day, everybody. We've enjoyed being with you today.